is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is Tuesday, the 25th of June, 2024. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is news to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. Following the successful completion of the United National Congress, UNC's NATEX elections recently, the People's National Movement internal NATEX election will soon be contested. Several persons, including Welfare Officer, Assistant General Secretary, Treasurer, Education Officer, Public Relations Officer, Social Media Officer, and Labor Relations Officer, among others, are up for grabs. At last Sunday's PNM Family Day, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley announced the PNM's national executive election would soon be held at the party's convention, which will take place soon. The last executive election involving 16 posts was in 2022. UNC political leader Kamala Prasad-Bissessa says Kamoto Manzanulla Member of Parliament, Dr. Rai Ragoobarsingh, who voted in favor of the whistleblower protection bill in the Parliament last week, must be afforded due process and will be treated fairly and according to the party's constitution. She said he will be afforded an opportunity to be heard and account for his actions. Mrs. Prasad-Bissessa made the disclosure at the UNC's cottage meeting at Mulchan Siochan Road in Chaguanas at their headquarters yesterday, Monday. 22 votes went in favor of the bill, while 15 were against. National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hinds says the 2024 Traffic in Persons report prepared by the U.S. Department of State will be studied in great detail. He says the recommendations will be vigorously pursued with a view to having TNT response to the sordid and brutal crime of human trafficking at all times be consistent and with international standards and best practice. The report covers government efforts from April 1st, 2023 to March 31st, 2024. The report indicated the Trinidad and Tobago government demonstrated an overall increase in efforts compared to the previous reporting period. A delegation of Indian business owners is in Trinidad and Tobago pursuing opportunities in sectors including health, digital agriculture, and tourism. At the news briefing on Monday, Trade and Industry Minister Paula Gopi-Schoon said doing business with this country would be beneficial to the local economy due to India's good projected performance in the world's economy, and its gross domestic product stands at US $5 trillion. It was revealed that 4 more investors who have interest in manufacturing and tourism are scheduled to arrive this week, and on Thursday, a group of investors will also visit Tobago. At noon today, a yellow level high winds alert issued by the Met Office is scheduled to come to an end. In a public notice on Monday, it said the alert began from 10 p.m. yesterday. It said there was a chance of high wind gusts in excess of 55 kilometers per hour overnight with showers. These strong winds may be brief but capable of displacing unsecured roofs, loose outdoor objects, and can even topple trees and weaker structures. Sea conditions are expected to be additionally agitated, with waves reaching 2.5 meters in open waters and choppy in sheltered areas. The Met Office advised the public to secure loose outdoor objects and livestock, and marine interests should exercise extra caution during the period and follow the instructions of the lifeguards. Members of the public can monitor official news sources and weather updates from www.metoffice.gov.tt. $85 million is the projected cost of being given by the Tobago House of Assembly to carry out shoreline cleanup work following the oil spill which affected the sister isle in February this year. THU Secretary Fali Augustine gave the update while presenting the budget for Tobago yesterday, Monday, during the 31st plenary session. Augustine said the figure does not include a proposed $60 million required for proper disposal of waste at Studley Park. West Indies captain Rovman Powell said his team should take pride in bringing the buzz back to Caribbean cricket during the 2020 World Cup, even though they bowed out of the tournament at the Super 8 stage this past Sunday. The co-hosts needed to beat South Africa in Antigua to reach the semi-final, but despite taking the rain-disrupted match down to the wire, their bid for a third title came to an end with a 3-wicket loss. And finally, 8 crew members of the ship that struck the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore are finally home after 3 months on the vessel. On Monday, the Dali left the city's port with only 4 of the original crew of 21 on board. The 948-foot Dali was aided by 4 tugboats on Monday morning as it traveled to Norfolk in Virginia. And that is news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming your way at 7 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
To the Power Breakfast Show on Power 102 Digital with studios at 88 to 90 Abercrombie Street in Port of Spain, an overcast Port of Spain this morning. Hope you guys had a great evening. It is 25 degrees at Piyako and same at Crown Point in Tobago. Traffic-wise, I've got nothing really to tell you about. A little volume from Chase Village towards the interchange. All right. Of course, on the show this morning, we just heard from Dr. Paul Richards. We'll hear from Richard Ragoobarsingh. We got Ruben and Shane in the mix. Of course, my name is Steve Khan. Good morning to you, Pablo. What's happening?
Morning, Steve. Morning, everyone.
Oh, boy, all dressed up and tie. Look at you. Look at you. The ladies on the stream will be going, look at him.
I have to thank my mother for the looks.
You have to thank you and your father.
Why did he put it up?
How's mom going anyway?
Yeah.
She's good?
She's good. Good morning, everyone. A rainy morning again, so be careful out on the roads.
Yeah, please do that, all right? Leave some space. If somebody wants to cut in front of you, let them.
Yeah.
Of course, let's see who sent us hellos first thing this morning on Facebook and on YouTube. We have Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida. And let's say congratulations going out. I watched up to the second period. I watched every game, actually, to the Florida Panthers. The Cats, they won their first Stanley Cup. The first time ever. They won the first 3 games. And then they lost their 3 games. And Game 7 was last night, and they won that. So congratulations to you guys in Florida. Edmonton, boy. 31 years you guys waited, but no cigar. So congratulations to all those Florida Panther fans. So there you go, Ray. Garcilia out in Valencia. Good morning. Oliver Man Warren, DJ Ray, Renu Halasi out in Delaware. John Cato, Slick Money Grip, and says good morning and to EV. Hope you feel better, EV. Wendy and James, Brent Hackshaw, Alistair Hart, D. Pierre, Wayne B. in Covington, Georgia, Boy Bedisi in Davie, Rena Boodoo Jennings, Carol Guevara, Brenda Isaac, there's a new one, Felix Cazo, good morning to you. Connecting back after a while, was always listening though. Glenn from Maloney. All right, Miss Ingrid in Tucson, Arizona, Michael Robinson in Yokohama, Japan, Joyce Litt, CJ New York, Paul Prudent, hey Paul, morning. Susie B, good morning to you guys as well. And on WhatsApp, you too can WhatsApp at 318-1021, GNC Auto Security, good morning to you. As well as, you never put your name, do you, David Nelson? Good morning to you. Dan Raj, from Biggie in Manassas. Where is that? Pleasant good morning. Where is that? Pleasant good morning to you. And Sankofa, good morning to you at WhatsApp. All right. Of course, it is the 25th day of June. We're in the middle of the year. 183 days to Christmas. Exactly 6 months to Christmas. And today is also the 15th anniversary of the passing of Michael Jackson. 15 years already. That flew by. Hee. Should I sing some Michael Jackson songs? I know all, you know. I could do a dance too.
I think we have enough reading.
Yeah, I could do a dance. Good morning, Mars versus Venus. Trinidad Margo, Wayne Ramsey, Susie B out in Arima, a rainy Arima. Good morning to you as well. All right. While Paul goes for his coffee. Yeah, Paul is in the newsroom. AV is not feeling too well, so Paul is filling in.
This computer is stressing me out.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. Good
All
morning,
right.
everyone.
When Richard comes by, I'll
No, it's
come
no
from-
organizing itself here.
Yeah.
It takes its time. So good Tuesday morning, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
We're having a good morning so far. I love rain, so it really bothered me.
Yeah, I love rain. I love rain. I was actually looking at the cameras at our transmitter sites, um, and they're under cloud. A lot of cloud
Yeah.
up there. Can't hardly see anything. Yeah, I
I'm
do
supposed to
that.
shut down this computer in this newsroom.
You want me to come by?
Anyway. Good morning, everyone.
I can hop on a maxi and come along by you, you know.
It come out for me this morning.
Oh Lord, all right.
So the Met Office has a bulletin out,
Yeah, wind, a
says
wind advisory, wind alert.
that the high wind alert should come to an end. It was issued on Monday at 10. Should come to an end
Yeah, noon.
at noon.
Yeah,
So, but that means that there's still a possibility of some high wind.
yeah. We'll go with the Met Office says. They're the pros.
Good news: Trinidad and Tobago has done better in the human trafficking report,
Oh, really? Okay.
which is prepared by the United States Department of State.
Mm-hmm.
2023-2024 trafficking in persons report. We improved our performance from last reporting period last year, which indicated the government of Trinidad and Tobago demonstrated an overall increase in efforts compared to the previous reporting period. It said, quote, these efforts included increasing investigations and prosecutions, enacting legislation to remove the lengthy preliminary inquiry process, previously contributing to significant delays in the prosecution of trafficking and other crimes, and increased judicial and police anti-trafficking personnel. Good news.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't read that yesterday. But that's some great news.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I see they're still working on the AC Crawford Stadium. I thought at one point they said they carried out, excuse me, I don't know what this frog came in my throat. They had this deemed the stadium due for demolition and reconstruction. Now I'm seeing that was it the Jean Pierre complex that they're refurbishing and all of that.
It was supposed to be both, and then they had a football game there. And I'm going to myself, but isn't it closed?
I remember that if not the whole thing, at least the Jean Pierre complex side, which is ridiculously bad.
Oh yeah.
I see them refurbishing.
Yeah, Jean Pierre complex says, woof.
Our but it's not exclusive to us. But our stadium used more for parties now,
Oh yeah. And the parking lot for Taruba.
Yeah.
The parking lot for Taruba, where people go to watch cricket, where we did a couple of weeks ago, last week, I think, a week before. It's not for parking your cars, it's for parties.
Well, stadia around the world are used for entertainment events.
Yeah.
But they're also primarily used for sport.
Yeah.
So Wembley is a big concert venue. O2 is a big concert venue.
Mm-hmm.
All the stadia in the US, or many of the stadia in the US, are used for big entertainment events.
Mm-hmm.
But they also primarily used for sport, baseball, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We could count on our two hands how many cricket matches were held at Taruba.
Yeah, you can. You
Mhm.
can.
But you can't count how much Fat and Juve Fat was held there.
Gosh, no. No.
It's
Bypass the hands there for sure.
So, but we'll see. But somebody, Paul Prudent, put in the chat that the Jean Pierre was due for demolition. I remember that. And then all of a sudden they're refurbishing it. I remember that it was supposed to be, it was deemed structurally inadequate for refurbishment, and it was supposed to be demolished and rebuilt. But Carlisle Cooper, the US prepares that report. What is the US, Who prepares in the trafficking for the US? I guess the US. The US is a study in contradiction. The US sends security advisories to countries around the world, including Trinidad and Tobago.
Including.
But when they have the mass shooting and 10 and 12 people dead and thing, Nobody can send a report on them.
It had another shooting in Alabama. There were a few shootings.
Was it this weekend or last week?
Which one? The
They had
Alabama?
a shooting recently.
Yeah. Well, they had up to this. I think this weekend that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Nobody is saying a report on them.
I think it was 8 dead because of shooting.
Rather unfortunate.
Yeah, it always seems to be some sort of shooting, some disgruntled person going into a store, and I don't know. I won't even Google it because.
Woo, this computer this morning, boy.
All right, let me come by you and.
No, it's not working now. Don't come. No, I don't want you here.
I was going to jump on a maxi.
No, thank you. No, thank you. It's good. You hear it? Right, it's rolling.
It's rolling. Okay.
So the UNC NATEX came off, and now the PNM has indicated that their NATEX, the national internal elections, will be taking place soon.
Mm-hmm.
Positions including the following. Assistant General Secretary, and these are the current holders of these positions, which is held by Patricia Alexis, Treasurer Kazim Hussein, Education Officer Laurel Lezama Leasing, Public Relations Officer Faris Al-Rari, Mr. Muscles, Social Media Officer.
Did you see that social media pic going around?
Yes, I saw it. Elections Officer Inda Parasaram, Field Officer Terence Bepath, Welfare Officer Maxine Richards, and Youth Officer Janice Scott, and Operations Officer Irene Hines. So the post of Vice Chairman is now 4 years old, but will be contested. Yes, 12 of the 16 posts are up for contention. And there are posts that are not up for contention, including political leader, chairman, general secretary, and lady vice chairman, which were contested in 2022. And they're all for 4 years, so they'll be up in 2026. Yeah, I saw the meme with Faris Al-Rari, Minister Faris Al-Rari, and Minister
Rohanson
and they're frolicking. But they were having fun, and of course, the photographer caught them in an awkward moment.
And of course, the memes went wild. And I don't have to tell you about the comments.
Embracing the minister from behind and holding on to his belly.
Nothing wrong with that.
I just said, well, why would you do that in an environment like that? I mean, it's all fun. There's nothing to me sinister in it.
We're just having
of
fun.
Course, that one snap has gone viral. I think I could find the video. With all sorts of untoward commentary.
Quickly.
All sorts of untoward, vulgar commentary.
Oh yeah.
So what was just a fun moment, just colleagues horsing around, no pun intended. But of course, it's gone viral now. And of course, Mr. Muscle was busy showing off his muscles,
He was indeed.
His biceps. And Minister Sinanan was trying to compete poorly. So Minister Al-Rari went behind him and sought to embrace him.
Mm-hmm.
And that
I have more muscles than you. Look at mine.
Yeah, but I don't understand anyway.
It's all fun.
Yeah, but you know this environment, how bitter it is, and people get so nasty and vulgar and start to put out all kind of nastiness online. It's just like, I mean, come on. What are you gonna do? Remember the ship that ran into that bridge in Baltimore?
Yeah, it's at port now.
The Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Apparently, they spent 3 months on the vessel.
Yeah, they stayed on the vessel.
Why?
In case anything goes wrong, the crew is there.
What?
Yeah, that's what the same thing I said. I said, why they had to stay there? So they stayed on that ship until it was pushed back to the port of Baltimore, and then they were able to come off. but they stayed on in case there was any sort of emergency. They'd have a crew on hand.
What, like to jump off the sinking ship?
I don't know.
They're going
But
to a bridge.
the channel
Not
is now
emergency.
open for all traffic. Yeah, so they had to stay on that. Ugh,
Is that like maritime law regulations or something?
I have no idea. I remember hearing that when the ship was pushed back to port.
Okay then.
Yeah,
Quite interesting.
yeah. But you see, it's open to all traffic now. Could pass through. They cleared up everything.
Well, the news report said it left the city's port with only 4 of the original 21 crew members on board. It's pulled by 4 tugboats on Monday morning as the traveled to Norfolk, Virginia.
Mm.
And they said they're going to rebuild the bridge even bigger and better. And
Yeah.
I'm sure they will take the opportunity to upgrade, you know.
One time.
For that. You think going back to the story with the P&M Natics, you think it'll have the same kind of bacchanal the UNC Natics had?
If they do,
It
we won't
won't.
hear about it.
Yeah, well said. If there's any bacchanal, you won't hear about it.
You
Same
won't hear
reason
about it.
The PNM, even I'm sure they have, because I always hear about the bacchanals when
Yeah, so do I.
But
you don't hear about it in the
bacchanals
public.
don't go public at all.
No.
What is
They
it?
have
More
that down to
discipline,
science.
more structures, more regulations. What is it? Why the difference?
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Because I'm sure there's have bacchanal in the PNM. I hear about enough bacchanal.
Oh yeah, I hear about it myself.
You understand? But the bacchanal don't go public at all.
At all.
Let's open the lines.
And it's all a united front. It doesn't stop at all. Yeah, let's open up the lines. 23 minutes.
It goes back to leadership, huh?
Yeah. Well, yes. It goes back to leadership.
Yeah, it goes back to leadership.
Even when there's, from Mr. Manning days to Dr. Rowley days, which is now,
Well,
you don't hear about
their
it.
bacchanal wasn't behind closed doors.
Well, that's a different bacchanal.
Their bacchanal wasn't behind closed doors at all.
Yeah, Karen Yip now says it's a bacchanal. Good morning, Karen. Good morning, Angela
Lines
Lewis.
are open.
Collier Lewis, as before Wendell, both me. Evans David, Keith Besessa, good morning. David Wares, good morning. Good morning to Mrs. Wares. Carlisle Cupid, good morning. Got some calls coming in. Good morning, caller. Hello.
Lamar?
Oh.
Oh, you're so handsome.
Oh, thank you.
Oh Lord, listen, you more immaculate this morning than ever.
Really?
I'll be
Hey,
immaculate.
well, clean shaven. Papa.
Oh, it's not me you're talking about?
You remember why you're falling?
And
You
You're
remember why
what?
you're falling? You remember this morning, and I'm going to say something that's going to be very terrible, yes?
Yeah, behave yourself.
But that had to do with the rain falling
Oh,
and
jeez,
the moisture in the atmosphere. But I had to restrain myself there. That'll be a bit much.
yes, that's why I get in. That's why I push myself in there so
That'll
quick.
be a bit much.
You know, thanks for giving the PNM the pips. That is how we are. That's how we are. We're not bacchanalists.
Really?
Yeah.
When Dr. Roddy was challenging Mr. Manning, was level bacchanal.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we are.
Madam Speaker, he is this. He is that. Madam Speaker, he is a bull in a China shop. You know that?
No, they were speaking their minds.
That was a whole bacchanal.
It's only normal sometimes.
I had to find that clip for you.
Nah, don't go back there. Don't spoil the atmosphere this morning now.
You know, it doesn't matter when we go back and put the UNC clips, but you don't want to put the whole PNM clips at all.
Sometimes, I doesn't even want to hear them. Sometimes I just behave like they don't existed. You understand? So I'm gonna leave it to somebody else call. I'll call back. Oh, good morning.
You get weak this morning, huh?
to New York, everybody. This is weather here. Steve say you love the rain. You
Dive
sweat.
up on the outfit because of the weather.
It's weather for young
I
ducks
want I
like
want to
yourself.
start you this morning. Mm-hmm.
You hear me? I said it's weather for young ducks like myself and Steve. Richard too, that's why he must can't reach it. I'll go and can't get up.
Yeah, you call Richard in Q boy.
30 degrees and
Oh,
140
Morning, Ragoobarsingh.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, guys. And of course, good morning
get up.
to our listeners wherever you are across the planet. Yeah, morning, Richie Rich. You look a little blurry this morning, Steve, for some reason. I look blurry. At least on my screen. You look a little blurry. Let me double check. I don't know if it's my screen or if it's just a simple cleaning of your lens will do the job. Yeah, I don't even touch that lens. But let me give it a clean lens. Yeah.
What do you see, Ragoobarsingh? Where's the vibes?
Me, I'm good. You know, it's Tuesday morning. I know from that weather alert that, Steve loves to post up these weather alerts. And
Steve has two obsessions: traffic and weather.
And there was a weather advisory that I think I don't know if it's discontinued. Wind advisory. I don't know if it's discontinued or if it's still noon today. Right. So it's supposed to go to noon today. But then watching the weather reports last night, specifically Khalil Hussein, he was saying a lot of the wind at this was my interpret. Well, this to me is what he said. A lot of the wind factor of it is actually going to be a little bit north of Trinidad and more in the ocean rather than on land. And that's a lot of what he said. And it seemed to be drifting more towards Grenada, north of Tobago and stuff like that. The weather system. And that it was a little bit unstructured because of dry air. Something along those lines. I'm not a meteorologist or anything of the sort.
Right up to the rest now. Whew, Jesus.
But I don't like earthquakes stress. That's what earthquakes stress most people out. Oh gosh, yes. Stresses me out. That they become disconcerted for a while after. Weather could be kind of that for me. I don't really like weather too much, bad weather. So, but we'll see. It seems to be holding up. I mean, I didn't get any bad winds, at least in the Rima, at least not yet. I don't know.
You're afraid to dead out?
If you all did anyway. So, did you all get any bad winds? No, none at all.
Ragoobarsingh, you're afraid to die out?
Afraid to die?
Don't worry about bad weather for one earthquake and thing. If you're not going afraid to die, just go back to the earth and turn into cosmic dust again. What are you worried about?
Earthquakes don't disconcert me as much. I know it disconcerts a lot of people. A lot of people, it lingers. They can't sleep or anything. They don't affect me. They don't affect me that much. I'm not saying that it's a pleasant experience. It's not.
The Steve Cannon. He comes staring at everything.
He's what?
Steve just idle, yes.
Was it a little blurry?
And what's the problem with that?
Because you make it run slower than
it does. The computer, I ain't able to do
What was his camera a little blurry? Is that what you were trying to fix?
No.
Okay.
I told him them open, please.
I told him that I thought his camera was a little blurry this morning. But basically that's it. So there is a weather alert, that weather advisory yellow alert number 1, that is ongoing until noon today, which was also a high wind advisory. But we didn't seem to have gotten any of the high winds, at least at this point. Nor the weather particularly that bad. It's just a little rainy at points. But it does continue until 12 noon. So be careful on the roads out there, wherever you are. What else? Yeah.
Ragoobarsingh, that, well, the PNM, that Dr. Rowley announced on Sunday at the PNM Sports and Family Day that their NATEX elections will soon take place with their national convention. And this is following the UNC's NATEX, which took place. Is it on the 16th of this month, earlier?
Mhm.
I think so. So there are several positions up for grabs, but we were saying, for some reason, and all political parties have internal bacchanals, but for some reason, the PNM's internal bacchanals do go public. As
Sometimes,
readily.
sometimes,
As readily.
yeah.
As readily. I wonder why. But I was saying the Manning Rowley bacchanal was very public.
Yes, it certainly was.
Yeah. The earlier made Bourgeois yesterday, okay. I feel you make the same kind of saltfish thing I make, but
When is that NATEX, that national executive election supposed to take place for the People's National Movement? Did they give a date?
Dr. Rowley said soon.
Well,
He said the elections would be held at the party's convention, which will take place soon. Maybe Wendell could message and say when that is supposed to be, when it's due, and so when it's likely to be.
Okay.
You understand?
Do you suspect that there is going to be an early election call, or do you think he's going to wait it out till 2025?
I don't think it's going to come this year. I'll be surprised if it comes this year.
But is there not a political advantage for him calling it this year? If the alliance, if you want to call it that, seems to be in disarray, including the UNC seeming to be in some level of disarray from their national executive elections, wouldn't he be saying, well, is this a good time to call a snap election? I'm just speculating, because sometimes that's part of a political strategy. I think I'll get more seats at a particular time, and that can factor in. Or do you think because a lot can happen in a year?
Yeah.
You could look at a year ahead and say, well, look, what are my objectives? Am I going to achieve it in the next year? Where do I think the economy is going to be in the next year? And is it going to be to my advantage? And is it better I call it now? I mean, you have a lot of factors you can weigh in trying to get that extra 5 years.
The indicators are that it won't be before September or October this year. So if it's going to happen, I think if it's going to happen this year, it will happen at the end, closer to the end of the year. And they generally don't put elections close to Christmas time, right? So that leaves October and November. They generally don't put elections. The 15th is when was the last one? Is it September?
I think it was September.
September. But he took advantage, Dr. Rowley, that is, of the good news and the international praise he was getting for the management of COVID. You understand? So he was kind of riding a high with commendations, some gibberishes at WHO and all of that, and a couple regional counterparts. But Minister of Finance just said that it's going to be a tough 3 years ahead. A year is a long time in politics. They just announced that the PNM convention is coming up soon with NATEX. It's unlikely it will clash with that. Wendell sent a message. Let me see.
He did send it to
right? He answered the question, but he said the party group elections are taking place, which will be followed by constituency elections for different executives, and then on to party executive elections. So that will take another. And then Parliament goes on break the 9th to the 10th of July and comes back.
But the Prime Minister has the power to ignore all of that.
Yeah, he does. But I mean, they also consider the orderly running of the country. You understand? And putting it in certain places disrupts some of those functions, they could call it any day. We could call it Christmas Day if you want. But that doesn't necessarily lend itself to order. You understand? So there's some considerations that will not, where he will not think. But I don't know. I haven't seen any other external signs to indicate that it will come before the end of this year.
You know, they say there's a thing where they say all politics are local, meaning that all politics is about how it affects you as the citizen on an individual level in your own space, and how that's oftentimes how you see the lens, through the lens through which you see it. And so I'm just wondering, because if the Minister of Finance is saying they're challenging 3 years ahead, that's not a good talking platform for re-election.
Let me just say, I don't think it will go into anything past July, August next year. I don't think it's going to go down to the wire. You understand? But which means this is now June going into July. I think it will be in the next 12 months, within the next 12 months. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
You understand? I don't think he's going to go into, because the longer you wait, this is such a volatile environment. You understand? And I'm sure they're making their projections that they've already had to make one major concession about a miscalculation of the projected oil price, which affecting the budget now to the tune of a bigger deficit. You understand? Which is a big concession for any government to make. And the impact of that on the overall economy. So, God forbid you have another avalanche or drop in gas, I should say, and oil prices, then you're in an even more precarious position. So
yeah, so that's why I say
I don't think he's going to buck the boat and say September, October this year is election, but you never know.
Yeah, it's always a way.
He's already told them to be on standby, you know. But the standby message from the family day wasn't an urgent standby to me. It was a warming up standby.
Yeah.
You understand?
I mean, there was some good news in terms of the IMF report indicating that there is growth. Of course, even though, of course, economists would have weighed in, but contextualized what that meant. At least the economists and stuff that we spoke to. So we'll see how it all plays out.
The phone lines are open, y'all. There's a good question.
Lines are open. 222 talk 222-8255. North Americans 866-525-1099. People on the streaming platforms where you can send your messages, you know how to send them. And those of you watching us on television on METV, you can also get interactive with via WhatsApp at 318-1021. Of course, if you are up the Caribbean, you're going to have to put in our area code, which is 868.
Maybe there's a question we could say, do you think the Prime Minister will call the election in 2024?
That could be the goal. See what people think.
Yeah. But 2024 is, I still don't think 2024 is an early election, to be very honest. Because we're in the last year and a quarter or so or year and a half of the cycle, the political cycle. So maybe that could be the question. Lines are open. We're talking election already. Things in Trinidad and Tobago.
Good morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning. The last time the PNM internal election took place was in 2022, and it ran for a 3-day period. So I expected it to be similar in terms of that nature. Coming out from that election, though, it was just a turnout around 9,000 thereabout of eligibility in terms of voting of 106,000 people. So it was quite a low turnout in terms of the persons who came out and voted in the internals. So I suspect the clarion call that we are hearing here is a signal or an intention to try to get the numbers up in terms of, because it's just about less than 10% of the eligible persons who are part of the PNM who would have voted. So I think if you want to boost numbers, you have to start from now. So I think it's probably plausible to see the Prime Minister signaling the intentions for the internal elections, which I think is due around this year in November. On that issue, I think next year, just after mid-year review, we would see a serious ramping up in terms of when the election will be called, because the Minister of Finance will have the opportunity to present some goodies in terms of next year's mid-year review, in terms of to get on the lips of people talking. And I think that will be a great opportunity in terms of doing that. So where that is concerned for the election, is that's something that would be quite plausible in terms of where the government will want to go. I don't think the government will want to call any election before the end of this year. And what is interesting, I don't know if they shelved the collection of property tax, because we just haven't heard anything about that since.
Yeah, that has gone extremely quiet.
It has gone quiet, and it signals to me that maybe there is some discussions going on in where that is concerned. But I suspect maybe we might see talks about it back again in this budget coming up here in the financial year around September, October. It will be interesting to see if the government would be starting to collect back that property tax, because that was on the lips of everyone in this country. Before I go quickly, I want to point out something to you. I know economy. I sort of do business with other people. I will tell you this: the best month so far for this year for business would have been February. February was the best month for business, and as soon as there was some sort of collection of property tax, a lot of people start to grab and hold back their money. So right now there's a lot of contraction in terms of where business is concerned. A lot of people are running credit, and a lot of people are servicing those credits up to 30 days or even up to 2 months in terms of how businesses are running right now. Okay, I just want to point out. Have a good morning.
You're right. There's a big accounts receivable issue in many businesses in the country. People taking long to pay.
Mm-hmm.
I ask you to stand by, wait for the call, because in the middle of the night, the dawn may not be too far away. Ladies and gentlemen, whenever they are ready, THA election, by-election, general election, we will beat them in the east, we'll beat them in the west, we'll beat them in the north, and we'll massacre them in the south. I ask you to stand by, wait for the call, because in the middle of the night, the dawn may not be too far away. Ladies and gentlemen, whenever they are ready, THA election, by-election, general election, we will beat them in the east.
Massacre them in the south.
And of course, he ended with the normal, you know the mantra. Great.
He almost seems to be telegraphing. Well, I mean, I don't know if he's being mischievous, but he seems to be telegraphing that it can happen at any time. But it's kind of usual.
If it is at least a year and a half off, he has to start getting his troops in order.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? He has to start signaling to the troops and to the country, the wider country. 18 months is not a long time,
No,
I think
a
lot of it revolves around the economy, and I think the Minister of Finance and their own internal projections from the economists who will give them advice is the country going to be in a better place in 12 months' time or within the next year than it is now? If the answer to that is yes, then it's a clear pathway that I can delay the election call. If the answer to that is no.
Two main issues: crime and the economy. And crime, unfortunately, have been so prevalent that it's almost like background noise now, unless there's a mass shooting or something. People have become so desensitized. You understand? So it's primarily the economy now. Do you have newspapers, Ragoobarsingh?
No, I don't. Sorry. I think I may have the Guardian. Do I have the Guardian? Let me check.
All right. Let's start with the newspapers. It's Tuesday, the 25th of June, 2024. Let's start with the Express Online. Lynette under fire. The Law Association of Trinidad and Tobago and its president, Lynette C. Brentweed, have come under fire following an email to the membership signed by her. Let me just go into the story a little bit. Signed by her, and in which she sought to explain her role in the award of the process of senior counsel this year. So that senior counsel thing still dragging everybody into all that kind of thing. So the Law Association now have its own imbroglio related to that. A woman chopped at work, suspect tries to slit own throat.
Mm-hmm.
Babysitter to face charges in toddler's death. Traitors and sellouts. Tobago House of Assembly Chief Secretary Fali Augustine is labeled as traitors and sellouts Tobagonians who do not share his administration's goals. Ram Logan calls in the asking to disclose PAHO report, but then the minister said the report will be made public. Kamla not interested in fighting bacchanal within the UNC. Fali path clear for THA police. Russian allowed to challenge deportation. Missing man found 12 days later in forest.
Mm-hmm.
And UNC party members must call for healing. You can go right to the Express, please, Richard.
I do the Guardian. I can do the Guardian.
Guardian, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, so the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian for today on the front page, Farley unveils $3.9 billion budget. Biggest chunks to health and social programs, eyes facial recognition to track criminals, and seeks meeting with the Prime Minister on TTRA and property tax. Woman fights for life after cutlass attack. Kamla gives Rai is Rai or Ray? I think it's Rai. Kamla gives Rai chance to explain why he broke ranks. And of course, the main picture is that of ready for world, newly crowned Miss World Trinidad and Tobago, Annalise Nanton, and first runner-up Prishni Rampasad Singh Wright, and second runner-up Hannah Roberts posed for pictures after the pageant at Napa on Sunday night. So, of course, congratulations to Annalise Nanton for winning. And on the back page of that, so all of that is on the front page of the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian. And on the back page of the Guardian, let's see if I get that quickly. The back page of the Guardian. Yep. Powell blames wicket for loss. Of course, just in case you live under a rock, the West Indies did not get into the finals of the T20. So Powell blames wicket for loss. And that's it. That's all you need to know on the back page of the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian this morning.
Let's move to the news. Then now, Kamla Ragoobarsingh will be given due process. Cousins killed for jewelry in Makura triple murder. Ram Logan, parents want to see PAHO report on neonatal deaths urgently. Final curtain call for Naprima Bowl CEO, that's Marlon de Beek. Trinidad Tobago under yellow high winds alert. Trafficking in persons report, Trinidad Tobago upgraded. That's good news. Law Association President, PM refused to meet on silk appointments. PM defends move to sell Petrochemical refinery. Indian workwoman critical after attempted murder-suicide. Court stops deportation of Russian asylum seeker. And footballer and geotechnical engineer is the new Miss World TT. So those are trending stories in your Express, Guardian, and Newsday for today, Tuesday, the 25th of June, 2024.
All right. Thank you, Pablo. Of course, let's get the results of our morning poll that we asked you yesterday. A simple poll. Should polygraph testing be extended to parliamentarians, magistrates, and judges? That was our poll yesterday. 100%. 100 said yes.
So
Yeah, 100% said yes.
Based on the musings about when the next general elections will be held, someone put something which I think is accurate. Let me just share it with you all. The last election was Monday, the 10th of August. That's accurate? I think so.
Monday, the 10th of what?
No, August. Yeah, big. Was it? Is that accurate?
I can't remember. I can't say for sure. I don't know why I feel like it was in September, but I'm not sure. Wendell should know.
Wendell will know.
And then we'll know anyway. So our question this morning is: do you think the Prime Minister will call the general election in 2024?
That's our poll this morning. Do you think the Prime Minister will call the general election in 2024? What's your take after the PNM Family Day and his speech, etc.? Do you think the Prime Minister will call the general elections in 2024? 222 Talk, 222-8255. North Americans, 866-525-1099. And that's absolutely toll free to you. People on our web and our streaming platforms, you can send your vote via the messaging portals located there. And of course, if you're watching us on television on METV, good morning to you, a special good morning. And of course, you can also WhatsApp us at 868-318-1021. I spoke to Peter Lewis at the Play on Friday, and he said so many people are tuning into the television now to watch this morning program. And when we are not on, they get a lot of complaints. So that's how he says that.
All right. We have a lot of votes coming in via Facebook and YouTube. Let me just go here. It's a horror. That's just killing me this morning. Anthony Franco says no. Keegan Barrett says yes, but in August. Paul Prudent, no, in 2025. Keith Bissessa, no. Adonna Clark, no way. Vianney Warwood, no. Michael Robinson in Yokohama, Japan, no. Keegan Barrett said no. Gloria Gray says no. John Cato says no. Andre Reno says, okay, didn't vote. Julia Esbatiste, no.
So do you think the Prime Minister will call the general elections in 2024?
Kadeem Khan Jr. says yes. DL, no. Wayne B. in Georgia, no. Gerard Garcia, no. Rena Boodoo Jennings, no. Esther Adams, no. Richard Phillip, no. David Wares, no. Right. Let's see if we have any on WhatsApp here. Oops. Val, what did Val say? Never happened. Michael in UK, no chance. Peter, no. Jerron says yes to the poll. All right. Kathian, morning, Kathian, says no. All right. Let's see what we got here again. We did Esther Adams, David Wares. Karen Yipnow says yeah to elections. Carol Guevara says no. Wayne Joseph in Ontario, Canada says no. Ish out in Malik. Morning, Ish says no. Eddie out in New York City. No. Slick Money Grip. Hell no, he says. He's doing it, Christine. Finbar Collins. Monday, 10th August was correct. Okay. All right, so 222-8255, toll-free North Americans, 866-525-1099. You can WhatsApp like Lenny James just did, who said no, at 318-1021. Let's see.
Do you think the Prime Minister will call the general elections in 2024? That's our poll this morning, coming out of his speech at the Family Day on Sunday.
Yeah. Kadeem, I did say yes.
Kadeem said yes?
Yeah.
I didn't record that.
And then he says, no, I don't see the PM. So Kadeem is yes or no. That's all we want. Let's grab this call. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen. New Jersey, no.
New Jersey, no. All righty. Thank you, Grandy in New Jersey. All right. Let's see. Captain Ron says no.
beat them in the West, we'll beat them in the North, and we'll massacre them in the South.
Beauty Culture says no.
I don't like that, you know. Woo.
Captain Ron is in Miami. Ah, boy. We all get in Florida Panther shirts. Cascade St. Anne says no. Mrs. R, no. Jeffrey Campbell, yay. Kadeem Khan, you sure? Take out one yes, Richard, and put a no. Right.
Let oil price go before the end of this year. $150 a barrel, and gas price reached $7 per MMBTU. They're going to see election in Europe.
So do you think the Prime Minister will call the general elections in 2024? That's our poll this morning.
Let them get 2 months of gas at $7 per MMBTU. They're going to see election. Christmas in Europe.
All right, continue to vote on our poll via WhatsApp, YouTube, Facebook, and call us. Do you think the Prime Minister will call the general elections this year? Yes or no?
24. That's our poll this morning. 222-TALK, 222-8255. North Americans, 866-525-1099. I find we're not getting any calls. And of course, we can vote on the streaming platforms via the messaging portals there. If you're watching us on television, you can WhatsApp us at 318-1021. You can put the 868 before it, depending on where you are. But it's 318-1021. That's what's our WhatsApp number, 318-1021.
Kadeem Khan said the last general election was on the 10th of August, 2020. I can't remember what I even did yesterday. I can't even go back to 2020.
So do you think the Prime Minister will call the general elections in 2024? That's our poll this morning. Quite a lot of people voted already, but of course we're still taking your votes. What do you think?
Steve, there's one clip. Check your WhatsApp, please.
I pulled it already. Slick Money Grip says, good morning, AV, speedy recovery. Jingles Entertainment says no. All right, Jingles. I think of the Green Mile when I hear Jingles. Love that show. All right, checking WhatsApp here. Emmanuel out in Fort Lauderdale. Nah. Okay. Thank you, Emmanuel.
Jiggles. I don't know what you'll be reading now.
I said Jiggles. I don't know what you'll be hearing now.
I don't know what everybody else. So the personally on the chat correct here, and I correct.
What did I say? Jingles?
Something
Jingles?
is wrong with you, yes?
Ron M. No way. Thank you.
What about WhatsApp votes, Steve?
No, I read all already. Last one is Emmanuel in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay, so do you think the Prime Minister will call the general elections in 2024? That's our poll this morning. What do you think?
Cheryl Henry says, no, hell no. Thank you, Cheryl Henry. You have a couple of seconds again to vote before we get into our major news. Okay, let's grab this call quickly. Good morning.
Good morning, Duncan. Hell no.
Okay. As Wendell would say, I already wrote your vote down.
You write down your vote already, down.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. WhatsApp. Bob says no. Thank you so much. All right. Let's get into Josie Richardson. says no. Pearl Cordes says no.
The only non-PNM thing you're doing is me.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my goodness. Let's get into news, yes? Starts right now. On this middle of the year, 2024, the 25th day of June, exactly 6 months to Christmas.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is 7 o'clock in Trinidad and Tobago. Today is the Tuesday, the 25th of June. Major news coming up now. First, the headlines. The UNC leader says Dr. Ragoobarsingh will be given due process after voting with the government on the whistleblower legislation. The PNM NATEX elections and conventions are coming soon. The THA puts the cost to clean up Tobago's oil spill at $85 million. And the NTA calls for reform to the process to award silk in the country. We have details coming up next. This is news to 7 a.m. on News Power Digital. Good morning. Following the successful completion of the United National Congress's NATEX recently, the People's National Movement into the NATEX elections will soon be contested. Several positions, including Welfare Officer, Assistant General Secretary, Treasurer, Education Officer, Public Relations Officer, Social Media Officer, and Labor Relations Officer, among others, are up for grabs. At last Sunday's Family Day, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley announced that the PNM's national executive elections would be held at the party's convention, which will take place soon. The last executive election involving 16 posts was in 2022. Last Sunday, the PNM officials said the upcoming internal elections will be for 12 of the 16 posts. They said the positions of political leader, chairman, general secretary, and lady vice chairman were contested at the 2022 internal elections and are for 4 years. They will be up again for 2026. The post of vice chairman is also for 4 years, but now is vacant and will be contested. In the PNM's 2022 NATEX poll, Education Minister Dr. Nian Gaspidali was elected vice chairman, but in January, Dr. Rowley appointed Dr. Gaspidali as one of the PNM4 deputy leaders. UNC political leader Kamla Prasad-Bissessar says Kamoto Manzanilla Member of Parliament Dr. Ragoobarsingh, who voted in favor of the whistleblower legislation in Parliament last week, must be afforded due process and will be treated fairly and according to the party's constitution. She says he will be afforded an opportunity to be heard and account for his actions. Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar made the disclosure at the UNC's cottage meeting at its Mulchan Siuchan Road, Chakwanas headquarters yesterday, Monday. 22 votes went in favor of the bill, while 15 went against. $85 million is the projected cost being given by the Tobago House of Assembly to carry out shoreline cleanup work following the oil spill, which affected the Sister Isle back in February this year. THA Chief Secretary Fali Augustine gave the update while presenting the budget for Tobago during the 31st plenary sitting. Augustine said this figure does not include the proposed $60 million required for the proper disposal of waste at Studley Park. He claimed today the Assembly has paid $70 million to pay contractors and suppliers, but the outstanding payments to service providers and contractors at the end of April 30th this year stands at $51 million. The THA asked the central government for $153 million in the mid-year budget review, but got only $50 million. Augustine said the payment to Fisher Folk community has not yet been determined.
The outstanding payments to contractors and service providers totaled $51.5 million as at April 30th, 2024. As at the end of April 30th, 2024, the outstanding payments to contractors and service providers totaled $51.5 million.
National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hines says the 2024 Traffic in Persons report prepared by United States Department of State will be studied in great detail. He says the recommendations will be vigorously pursued with a view to having TNT's response to the sordid and brutal crime of human trafficking be at all times consistent with international best practice. The report covers government efforts from April 1st, 2023 to March 31st, 2024. The report said Trinidad and Tobago's government demonstrated an overall increase in efforts compared with the previous reporting period. It said these efforts, including increasing investigations and prosecutions, enacting legislation to remove lengthy preliminary inquiry process, previously contributing to significant delays in the prosecution of trafficking and other crimes, and increased judicial and police anti-trafficking personnel. A delegation of Indian business owners in Trinidad and Tobago pursuing opportunities in sectors including health, digital, agriculture, and tourism. At a news briefing held yesterday, Monday, Trade and Industry Minister Paula Gopi-Schoon said doing business with this country would be beneficial to the local economy due to India's good projected performance in the world economy and its GDP standing at US $5 trillion. It was revealed that 4 more investors who have interest in manufacturing and tourism are scheduled to arrive later this week, and on Thursday, a group of investors will also visit Sister Isle Tobago. At noon today, a yellow level high winds alert issued by the Met Office is scheduled to come to an end. In a public notice issued yesterday, Monday, the alert began at 10 p.m. It said there is a high chance of wind gusts in excess of 55 kilometers per hour overnight with showers. These strong winds may be brief, but are capable of displacing unsecured roofs, loose outdoor objects, and even toppled trees and weaker structures. Sea conditions are expected to be additionally agitated, with waves reaching above 2.5 meters in open waters and choppy in sheltered areas. The Met Office advised the public to secure loose outdoor objects and livestock. It said marine interests should exercise extra caution during this period and follow the instructions of lifeguards. The National Transformation Alliance, NTA, calls for an immediate reform of the process to awarding silk in the country. It claims this is required to ensure it's transparent, fair, and free from political influence. The NTA says by implementing recommendations, it has put forward the country can restore public trust in the legal system and uphold the high standards of the legal profession in Trinidad and Tobago. It is proposing the establishment of clear, objective criteria for the award of silk, including demonstrated legal expertise, contributions to legal scholarship, and also public service. August 1st is the extended timeline given by the Sporting Company of Trinidad and Tobago Limited for the closure of the Hazley Crawford Stadium. This in anticipation of the replacement of the and recertification of the athletics track and rehabilitation of the playing surface. The stadium's warm-up track is also being replaced. The 1-month delay in closing the Bucarapo venue is due to amended final preparation for the start of the project. In the interim, athletes will be allowed to use the stadium throughout July. Bookings for the use of the stadium will therefore continue for the month of July only. Further updates on the project will be provided to the public when they become available. And finally, 8 crew members of the ship that struck the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore are finally home after 3 months on the vessel. On Monday, the Dali left the city's port with only 4 of the original crew of 21 on board. The 948-foot or 289-meter Dali was aided by 4 tugboats on Monday morning as it traveled to Norfolk, Virginia. The trip expected to take 16 to 20 hours. To end our 7 a.m. major news, here are the headlines once again. The UNC leader says Dr. Ragoobarsingh will be given due process after voting with the government on the whistleblower bill. The PNM NATIC's elections and convention are coming soon. The THA puts the cost of cleanup of Tobago's oil spill at $85 million. Kenyan police to arrive in Haiti this week, and sailors head home months after the Baltimore's bridge crash. That is news to 7 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have headlines coming your way at 8 a.m. with major news again at 12 noon.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right, thank you so much, Paul, for our major news. You can join me again at 8 o'clock for our news brief. 25 degrees on both islands. What the Met Office has said, our weather for today, cloudy and windy with showers, periods of rain and medium 40% chance of the isolated thunderstorm activity. Conditions will settle by afternoon with a few lingering showers. This tonight will be partly cloudy and hazy, again with isolated showers. Yeah. All right. High winds alert yellow level is in effect until noon today. Maximum forecast temperature for both islands today, 30 degrees. All right. Traffic wise, I've got an accident to tell you about. It is just after Freeport northbound, Solomon Hochoy Highway. A car is on the side of the road in the grass. It has flipped over, so that is causing a bit of traffic. Your traffic again from Monroe Road towards interchange, usual in the east-west corridor to Diego Martin out of Maraval. And you got traffic again. That is really causing some traffic. Leaving San Fernando, heavier as you pass Claxton Bay and head into Couva. You've got heavier traffic. All right, there you go. Right. So let's see if we have any more votes online for our morning poll. Trinity in Boston says no. No. Okay. What's up? Nothing. Nothing. No. All right. That's it. Just one more no there, Richie Rich. Oh, no. Jess just came in. No, no, no. Jess Archer Kennedy. Morning to you. So that's 2 no's for you, Rich.
All right, I got them. So our poll this morning was, do you think the Prime Minister will call general elections in 2024? That's our poll this morning. We have 48 people voting on the poll in the allotted time. Of the 48 people, 43 of you said no, you do not think that the Prime Minister will call general elections in 2024. And 5 of you said yes. So 5 said yes, they think he will call general elections in 2024, but 43 of you said no, for a total of 48. Of course, you can continue to vote on this poll throughout the day, through our programming, and we'll give you the final results tomorrow morning, which will be Wednesday and midweek already.
Hump day. Hump day.
You never know in politics.
See that again.
You never know.
That's true. I mean, you're going to have to wait and see how it all plays out.
Yeah.
What they're thinking.
It's all or any incumbent prime minister looks at the environment and sees what time would be of most advantage to his party, his or her party. You understand? They try to maximize the greatest opportunity to retain power. That's the name of the game.
Yep.
So, no more simple than that. And the 2 main issues facing the country have been for a while crime and the economy. I think I agree with you that now the economy is actually more uppermost of everybody's mind, because unfortunately, because of the amount of crime we have, we become so desensitized that when you hear about this murder or that murder, 3 people got shot in Matura, is it, over the weekend, and no big furor. You realize that? Turn page.
I didn't even know about it.
Exactly, but that's to tell you. That happened over the weekend. There was no huge furor about it, no big deal, no drama, nothing. It's okay. 3 more dead and whatever. Somebody's throat got slit in a murder-suicide, no big deal.
I saw that one. Yeah, it's unfortunate. The issue, there was something that just occurred to me with regard to the general election and when it will be called. Did Dr. Rowley give any indication whether he will continue to be the political leader of the People's National Movement in the general election in 2024?
Let me use the parliamentary. That matter did not arise. That matter did not arise. The family day, and they were very fired up. I don't think that was the time or place that he was going to make any such announcement. But he did, before the last election, he did sort of hint that it may have been his last term, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
And then he won.
Yeah. And it was his last, that there would be somebody new for the next general election. You seem to have gotten that telegraphed to you as a citizen. But we'll see how it all plays out. That's another thing you will see how it plays out.
He's what, 71 or 72? The Prime Minister. Is he 71 or 72? Either 71 or 72. He's a long way from Joe Biden.
Yeah.
And think about it. Next year he'll be either 72 or 73. it all depends on how the environment evolves. As we said earlier on, the finance minister's already, and he didn't do that lightly. He did that for a reason. Indicated that it's going to be a tough 3 years economically because of the price of gas and oil. The phone lines are hereby open.
Yeah, so we can do it 222-8255, toll free North Americans, 866-525-1099. You can WhatsApp at 318-1021. Good morning, caller.
Yeah, morning, Board Richard, Stephen, Wendell,
Morning, Mr. Patrick.
Ragoobarsingh, morning.
Morning, Mr.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Patrick.
Thank you. I was listening to the conversation with the guy that vote with the government. And I listened to the conversation. But Richard, is there anything as a conscience vote if you're in a political party or organization, or could you vote individualistic? Or you have to toe the line all the time?
The general convention, when you are in a political party and you've ran on a political party ballot, is that you are governed by a whip, and the whip, after I guess they caucus or whatever they do, you fall in line with what the consensus is at that time. So there have been times in the past. There have been times in the past where the collective responsibility and the towing the line has been raised and a conscience vote has been allowed. I think it may have been under Mrs. Pasalbi-Sessa, and it may have been under Mr. Manning also, but I can't be sure. Someone could correct me if I'm wrong. But conscience vote is not generally the order of the day.
So if you find the thing making no sense, and you want to do the correct thing, you have to toe the line.
Once you're part of a political entity, yes. That's how you get in there.
Yeah, boy. That's why sometimes people don't want to partner organizations because they don't have a clear conscience.
It works for some.
Right, and vote accordingly.
You know, it works sometimes for some people and it doesn't work for some people.
Thank you, Mr. Patrick.
It works in a political party that's governing too. Sometimes you may have members who disagree with certain aspects of legislation, but they will go along.
And people have told me that behind the scenes that they didn't agree with that, but we get orders. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
But so they have to fall in line. That's how it up. And you walk into it knowing that you're not operating on your own. You're operating as part of a collective.
Yeah. Morning, caller.
So
good morning, gentlemen. I'm so glad that we didn't have no set of rain down here in the west. We had some wind and in between some showers coming, because I don't understand. I've been talking to my counselor, making requests for that river behind me to be cleaned. Right now is trees, not bush anymore. Trees in that Diego Martin River. And I don't understand how we could be a borough. Had a big celebration now. She responded, they have no funded, and we on the chat was shocked, our neighborhood chat, to hear no funding to cut some trees in a river. I mean, it has all the hacksaw blade and all whatever back. You know what will be amazing? God forbid that river overflows, because it happened already, and you will see 5 backhoes and all the workers will come out and start to do cleanup. We don't know to be proactive in this country. We love to be reactive. Since last year, imagine we had this long dry spell. You all could have come and cut those trees in the river. No, they're not doing it. And you're putting out advisory. The disaster ODPM telling you this, that. Look at the state of that river, good Lord. And you telling us all you have no funding? No funding? Come on, man. This is unacceptable. But I go wait when the term reach. Richard, I want to ask something. When, Ian Allen, I don't know how he just get these people to do it. If a crime has taken place and
the person who might be or would be accused of the crime goes public in an interview and say this happened and so it happened and whatever, could that jeopardize their chances in court?
Because have they been charged?
Well, no, I'm just saying, but the incident happened. No, I'm talking about, let me give you this thing. I am talking about the little baby that the father said he went and collect, and then when he took the child and he think the child was looking limp, and the babysitter say the child sleeping, and next thing the child was dead. And Ian Allen, I don't know how he real good boy. He get down there, you know, he dislike to be first. And he do an interview with the babysitter and the lady saying this, and I'm saying, why somebody don't tell this lady to shut up? What you're going public with, what went on?
Well, that's a prerogative. You have freedom of speech in the country. Once nobody has been charged, or she has not been personally charged, there is nothing restricting really her capacity to discuss an issue.
Come public. Oh, yeah. I was wondering. I'm saying, but when you go out and say this and this thing, because by you the baby was, and the fingers, you know, the father saying, but I'll take my child. Oh my God, Richard, I doesn't like, I say, because you know what I notice? You know when these things happen in the posh areas, Westmore, remember when the lady from the store, the store on Frederick Street got killed in Westmoreland. All the reporters, they had them behind the yellow tape. Not a man, not even Ian Allen could have pushed a mic in that brother's face. You remember the Nina store, not Classy Fabrics. Not a soul could have pushed a mic in that brother's face to ask him a question, because he's the one pull out the gun, he licensed firearm, I believe, and shot one of the bandits, right? Richard, I have never seen a funeral where the person reading the eulogy face was blocked out to tell you how they didn't want to put that man up on in the media. But anybody else, all you're running, all you want story, they don't go down in the West in those areas and ask them no question, and they're right. Yes? Listen, this thing that's bother me, you know. So it's like the media choose who to go by to get a story.
Well, the media goes to people who will talk. If there are some people who won't talk. If that lady, for example, was not willing to talk, Ian Allen wouldn't have anything to broadcast with regard to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
she was willing to talk. So the media goes where you're willing to talk. There are some people who are not willing to talk and will say, no, I'm not talking.
Of course, no comment. Yes. When my brother got killed, thank God my son was knowledgeable enough. A reporter was there asking, what you came, who it is, go, you know, when you're in forensic, it had to be a autopsy going to be done, and it could be a murder case. And when I came back to the car, he remained in the car, and he said, Mommy, one of the reporters come asking me who I came in connection with, and he said, I said, what you told them? He said, I told them no comment. I said, very good. You're learning from the best. Yes? So I don't understand how the lady's saying this, and she go and she bring out some toy, some excavator toy, and saying how is that some brother hit the next one. Oh God, I find it was too much talk. She was given leave that for the police. Don't come and get Yanale no story.
If she had a legal advisor, suppose the legal advisor would have told her better not to say anything at this point.
Exactly.
But you can.
This is not the first time I saw it. This is not the first time, and I always notice they go according to you who want to talk. They go by this, but they don't go down Westmoreland. Oh God, man, all you learn, man. Hell, shucks, talk to your lawyer first. Have a blessed day.
All right, Dingo Martin, thank you. 222-8255, toll free North Americans, 866-525-1099. That's our numbers directly into our studio.
Yeah, we're taking your calls at this point. 222-TALK, 222-8255, North Americans, absolutely toll free, 866-525-1099.
The other big issue, of course, is the issue related to Dr. Rai Ragoobarsing's vote in the Parliament, in the House of Representatives last week. And the political leader of the UNC, Mrs. Pasabi Sessa, says that he will be given a chance to account for his actions. That'll be an interesting meeting, you can imagine. So let me just play this for you all. This is from one of the news media, who I think interviewed him shortly after.
Yeah, a man of faith. I don't see me being as a PNM agent is a bad thing. What is important to me is don't stigmatize the PNM. We are God's children. And what is significant, don't think that word PNM says anything untowards to anybody. What does that mean? That has no bearing.
I would like to be a fly on the wall in that meeting.
Yeah, I'm not sure in what context and in what context.
Well, remember, after he voted with the government on Friday, he was being called a PNM, which I guess to the people who were calling him a PNM, in their opinion, that may have been something derogatory. But he says he doesn't see it as that. But you remember when Rushton Parry started his advocacy for the UNC Natex, he was also called a PNM. You know, so I guess to them that may be the worst thing you could call somebody who is supposed to be in the UNC fold. So, but Mrs. Pasabi Sessa said due process will be followed, and he will be afforded an opportunity to be heard and account for his actions. And then what? I'm trying to figure out, and then what?
Exactly, and then what? We don't have a call.
They're going to ask him to resign.
Good morning, Steve.
Good morning.
Good morning, Paul, Dr. Paul, and good morning to Richard.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, Dr. Rai yesterday stated why he voted with the government for that particular bill because of what his constituents said and so on, right? So now last night, Mr. Kamala Pasabi Sessa saying he has to explain himself. Well, he explained himself already. I think she just kind of pretending that nothing is wrong with that, and they could do that. So she just telling the people, let him talk and let him come and you have an opportunity to explain why he did what he did. But he already explained himself. What you want to hear again? He's not going to change what he said.
But people need to understand, and I don't think people are looking at it from this perspective. Let's just say, for conversation's sake, that a government member of the House had voted against it. Would we have that same perspective? When they are also on that whip by the government, they can't vote how they want. They have to vote how the whip who is Camille Robinson Regis / the Prime Minister tell them to vote. So if a government member of Parliament last Friday had voted no, what do you think the response would have been?
It is the same thing.
Would we be saying the same thing? Or would we be saying, how you can do that, how you can do that? They are under...
No, but remember, you have to follow what
no problem. But I'm talking about the repercussions for going against the party line.
Oh, God, I would be back and all.
Of course. We look at it from both sides. Look at it from both sides. If any government MP in the House or the Senate goes against the party line, there will be repercussions.
Yes, I know, but the thing is, if you have an explanation,
It ain't no explanation in that. It ain't no explanation in that in the government or the opposition side. They have no explanation in that. You will face repercussions.
Well, okay. You see, so it's what up. So then politics is what? As they say.
Well, that when you sign up to be part of a party collective and you are put to either be an elected official or a selected official, there are requirements for that unless the whip is raised, unless the mandate is raised, and it has been done. People have said, you are no longer under the whip for this vote. You can vote according to your conscience. And even under those conditions, people are still cautious about voting according to their conscience because if people go watch them cookie.
Yes. I agree.
When you are part of a party, you have made that decision to toe the line. We are part of a collective, and we have a perspective on this, and you're supposed to go. Someone was having a conversation with me last week, and they said what they thought he should have done, right? That is, Dr. Ragoobarsingh will resign, but then he chose a different route, and that's his prerogative. And he knows. He says, I saw a newspaper article in the weekend says he knows he'll be expelled. It'd be interesting to see what that process for expulsion is.
Yeah.
But look at it from the other side. If a government MP in the House had put God out of the thought and vote no, what would happen? Same repercussions.
Yeah, and well, you know, Mrs. Fasadi said so only talking about his bacchanal in the party, one of bacchanal. And you know, she brought up the Ramjad G part of it. But you know, it's because of Ramjad G, she is there, right? You all have a good day. Thank you.
DL, this week they call me PNM, next week they call me UNC, the week after PNM, the week after UNC. So me accustomed to that.
Good morning.
I to be accustomed to that.
Good morning.
Good
morning.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
I think we're missing a fundamental issue in this whole issue with Dr. Rai Rathbun. Now, I could understand if it is that the party met on the caucus, right? And before this bill was debated, and they came to an agreement on how it is that they're going to proceed, I could understand what it is that you're saying. But I think people missing a fundamental issue in this whole thing of what Ragoobarsingh said. There was no caucus.
No, that's not an excuse.
How is that not an issue?
That is not an excuse.
You hear what the whip and the others voted.
Yeah.
You heard what the whip and the others voted. And yes, you're right. Technically, there usually is a caucus, but not everyone is part of the caucus all the time, you know. Sometimes the caucus is the core members, and you hear by whatever means, whatever the mechanism of the party is, how the collective are voting in that particular instance.
You will know whether the whip has been raised or not. That allows you to vote freely. And if that has not been raised, it means you are by convention supposed to vote along whatever your party's lines
and
are.
You hear what the vote was coming down.
You could be a dissident if you want, and you could stand up brave and strong and say X, Y, and Z, which is what he's doing. And that's fine. That's a choice. But
or you could be absent.
What?
Or you could be absent. You could choose to be absent. Others choose to be absent.
You know what disturbs me, right, is the fact that we tend to, when I say we, I'm talking about the media, right? Issues have been raised repeatedly over months now, pertaining to persons being disgruntled among the party groups, taking out how they're not meeting, there's no plan, there's no form of leadership. All of these stem, and it results in what it resulted recently. But we're not analyzing that issue, right? We're not analyzing the reason why it is that the opposition didn't vote for the whistleblower legislation. And what is the reason? It cannot be that is taken at home.
You are conflating two different issues. We are not discussing that, and you are free to bring it up, but now you're conflating a different issue with what we were discussing to try to prove your point. And no.
Yes. I am trying to prove my point. And what I'm saying is that
by conflating an irrelevant
no, it cannot be. It cannot be.
Well,
it is that you are right. But we agree to disagree, right? But that is my usual.
All right. Thank you, caller.
Yes.
All the best. Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, guys. I wanted to join with Ms. Davidi in saying that Dr. Ragoobarsingh already explained his position, so I don't know what explanation that they expect him to come with different of what he said. He said what he had to say as to why he voted the way he voted.
But I assume there's going to be a formal process in which he has to give whatever his explanation is.
Well, okay. And what happens then? I mean, if the party's constitution dictates that he be expelled, well then that's it. But I don't know that they could remove him as an MP. That's
a whole different process. Right. That's a whole different process.
Yeah, he can't be removed as an MP. So he will sit there as an MP until
put him in the back. But
yeah. and a lot of people are mixing this thing up with Mr. Volney's position. Mr. Volney declared at the point that he was an ILP. You understand? I don't know that Dr. Ragoobarsingh will declare that he is something else. He will remain a UNC in the back there until the term comes to an end. Not so? And Paul, you raised the issue just now of this. If this had happened in the government, it did, but the person was also a backbencher, and the person remained.
There are repercussions for that action. You could do it,
Yeah.
I think Dr. Ragoobarsingh was well aware when he did it that there would be repercussions, and he's willing to accept that. I could see that.
Yeah. Dr. Ragoobarsingh also raised the issue of the fact that they don't normally caucus in the UNC. It's not a thing that they do. So he was just supposed to follow suit and vote like everybody else, and he just decided he's not doing it. And I agree with him, because whistleblower legislation was important enough that people should have voted conscience. You understand? That the opposition, as a matter of fact, in my opinion, should have voted for the whistleblower legislation, because you come right after and vote for polygraph testing. The opposition are making sense. I tell you that since yesterday. They're not making sense. Anyway, have a good day, guys.
All right. 222-8255. Toll free for North Americans, 866-525-1099. On WhatsApp at 318-1021.
Paul, tell me something. Did the whistleblowers legislation need a special majority? I'm not clear.
1522 is special majority. I didn't get that impression. It was 1522. Is that special majority? But there were persons on the opposition bench that were absent.
I'm not sure, but did it require it? I'm not. That's what I really am asking. I'm not sure whether it required it or not. Whether simple majority was sufficient.
There were 22 who voted in favor, while 15 were against. I don't think, I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think 22-15 is majority, special majority. It may have been because of the absence of some UNC votes. But it passed. What constitutional rights does whistleblower offend? Because I know polygraph is different. You understand?
Yeah.
Polygraph, because of the invasive nature of a polygraph test, it does require special majority. But I don't think the whistleblower was required to require it.
So a simple majority was required probably for that.
Yeah.
No, I just wasn't sure. I didn't look at that legislation, so I'm not sure now. But being a part of it, I know you would have looked at it.
Yeah. I don't think it defends constitutional issues. Good morning.
Okay.
Morning again. Dr. Ragoobarsingh just proved a point there. You realize he ain't cater. He just that showing them and letting them to go to hall. Just hall. And Wendell is quite right. Wendell is talk like a real PNM day. Hallelujah, amen. Them hall. All right.
We're in a mood this morning.
Yeah, boy.
So we're still taking your calls. 222-TALK, 222-8255. Did I say that number correctly? I say it so rote sometimes that sometimes you're like, did I say the right thing? 222-TALK, 222-8255. North Americans, 866-525-1099. And of course, people on the web and the streaming platforms, you can send your comments still. And of course, you can WhatsApp us at 318-1021. On this Tuesday morning, and the weather seems to have improved dramatically, at least where I am.
Nassima is saying that it is sunshine in Rio Claro. Nasser Mohammed said so. It's going to clear up a bit. Good morning, caller.
Yeah, morning again.
Morning.
Seeing that Anita Haynes and the rest of the citizens will find themselves in problems then. Because if you have a Tony line, them say they ain't the line. Hello?
The party system is predicated on that once the whip is not raised, as Richard has indicated. You go into it knowing that. You're not going in to do your own thing, whether you feel it right or not right. That is not what it's about under party lines, unless the whip is raised. It's like the principle, Richard, of collective responsibility. Is that things happening in the cabinet you can't come out and say nothing about? You understand? And collective cabinet responsibility.
Where conscience is now, if I see something wrong, I have to follow the multitude and say,
No,
right?
you don't. No, you don't. You could resign and open your mouth.
Okay, so
you could open your mouth and resign too. You'd have to stay inside.
That is why when Bazepande say politics have a morality, are you in?
I'm surprised you all didn't know this, you know.
I know about that, but
they're doing what they could go and do what they want. Okay, good luck with that.
Well, then, if you join an organization and you don't want to toe the line, you wrong for going there. So now, Mr. Ragoobarsingh now, Anita Haynes and the rest of them find themselves in a lot of hot water now, because they will look at them as traitors now, right? Traitors, they will call them traitors.
I don't know what they will call them.
Yeah, because if we decide we're going along the road and we decide we're going slow, they go do, boy. So maybe I'll get up and walking street, that's right. All right.
All right, thank you. 222-8255, toll free North Americans, 866-525-1099. That's our numbers directly into our studio. The person that's calling on WhatsApp for the longest while, we do not answer WhatsApp calls. If you want to call, you could call the normal lines. If you're out of, if you're in North America, it's toll free 866-525-1099. That's our number directly into our studio. We do not answer
WhatsApp. Said you defied the whip at your own risk to demonstrate one's independence. When you are part of that party collective, there is really no independence. You know, if you want independence, you could opt out. But you have made a commitment to a party and a party line. And unless you are given the opportunity for a conscience vote, you toe the line. That's the way our politics has been in party politics for all the time. And if you want out, you have that option too, but there are repercussions of going against the party line. And Richard is right. When you sit in the house and you coming down the line and you like 7th or 8th in the line and you hearing no, you're a bright man, you know what the line is. Not so, Richard?
Yeah, you would know what it is.
You hear the whip vote, you hear the leader vote, you hear this one vote, you know what the line is.
Especially as you know, especially as it's being indicated, it's customary that they don't necessarily caucus. So you know that what the vote is. You could ask your colleagues how we voting on X legislation or Y legislation. They'll say that's going to be a no. Whatever their reasons, I'm not getting into their reasons, but I'm just saying you would know what it is. But Mr. Ragoobarsingh is quite aware. I don't think there is any issue here. Mr. Ragoobarsingh is quite aware. He knew, and he knows there were going to be repercussions.
He's willing to. He said already, I will be expecting you done with him. Prepare for that already.
So he intended to rock the boat a little bit.
That's all.
Yeah. I mean, legitimately voting and whatever. If he did a conscience vote, he voted along the lines that he's willing to stand by, and that's your prerogative. But he's aware that there are going to be repercussions, and just deal with the repercussions, I guess.
Yeah. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Mr. Patrick was so correct. I asked him the same question because she's calling Dr. Ragoobarsingh vote, calling him what a Satan or whatever. So I am asking, is she calling Parry and Anita Haynes and all the rest the same thing? Because right now they are in the party. They went and formed some. Look, this thing is. Right now, I think Kamala Persad-Bissessar head spinning right now. Because at this time, because I'm hearing, I listened to Dr. Hamid Ghani talking about, and the leader of the opposition need to expel rugby. I mean, expel? I don't think Camilla Posad-Bissessar will make that move before a general election, because if you're expelling, well, you have 5 to expel. You're going to be losing the support they have. But
well, Anita Haynes and Russian Parry didn't do anything wrong, you know. They were contesting an internal elections and formed a slate, which is perfectly legitimate within the context of the party's constitution.
No,
so
I'm not only talking about what I am talking, when they have these elections. You see the mudslinging, because they would saying, oh, look when the party going. I remember here in Paris saying he tired being in opposition. So what does that tell you? You want the leader to go. But as I always say, the UNC will quarrel. They will say all what they have to say about the leader of the opposition. And if Dr. Rowley only put God out his thoughts, and call a general election, I wouldn't even say this year. Next year, when that election is called, all you will be surprised how they will hug up each other, because it's not the person. I heard the people in Toko where Rugby from saying, we didn't vote for he, we vote for the party, and that's how they operate. It's PNM people like to say, me I like he, and me I like she, and I'm voting, not the UNC members. They want to win that seat come hell or high waters. So I am saying, Rugby ain't going nowhere, and all the rest who was whatever they said about her, because Kamala Persad-Bissessar could hug up Jack Warner. Who else she wouldn't hug up? You'll have a blessed day.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good
morning.
Morning.
Regular caller, but I listen on mornings to all the conversation, what is going on.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I'm speaking for myself and how I think that I would not have voted for the whistleblower. The polygraph is what I would have liked them to bring. That's one. And Dr. Rai, I believe that if you are in a party, you are supporting that party and you should be supporting it all the way. Now he's trying to make an explanation, and I don't want to hear any explanation. That's how I am. Faithful to your party. Okay? The other thing is, the people who support PNM, they would never speak about Rowley, and I'm not even saying doctor or anything. I have no respect for anybody.
Okay, but you're going to, if you're using these airwaves, you're going to afford him his correct title, please.
I want to ask a question as we are going on that. How did they get the title honorable?
It's part of the convention and the parliament.
Thank you, Paul. All right, thank you. Because as far as I'm concerned, I don't see anything honorable, really. That's how I am. That's how I am. I speak truth, and I speak how I want to speak. Coming back to what I was saying, yes, I support faithfully wherever we are going. If there's something in the party that I do not like, that my leader is doing, I think we need to sit down and talk and trash out our things. That's what it should be. When the Honorable Dr. Rowley says anything that is not right, he criticizes that woman all the time. I don't know what he has with that woman. He blames her for everything. Nobody says anything. He can say what he wants, do what he wants. But if she only opens her mouth and says something, which she don't really say anything bad, She don't really say anything bad towards him, but he's always saying something bad towards the woman. For what reason? Nobody says anything about him. But I am taking you all back to the West Indian Reader book. As far as I see the PNM, It is Winkling, Blinkling, and Nod. The three foolish people, and Mr. Mike went to school on a bike. Go on.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I'm listening to this, and I want to ask this question. Do you all think if Dr. Ragoobarsingh was in a first world country that this would have been a discussion?
Yes.
Yeah.
In terms of how we vote?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I have been following, and I don't see that any major discussion. We have allowed this to become a sensational discussion through the media.
No, if this had happened in England, it would have been an issue. In the US, they tend to vote differently. You vote up on the basis of their constituents. So it depends on the country you're talking about.
And also you have to consider that there's a different convention because of the size of those parliaments and Congress. So it is not as
I take all that
easy.
into consideration
Yeah.
before I ask my question. And I take all that into consideration because I am of the view this is a non-issue. This issue is a non-issue. We have allowed, we are following the Westminster system, and we have allowed that to be curtailed in terms of adversarial politics that we have. If a piece of legislation is good law, because we are on the consensus and we're in opposition and we disagree and we don't want to pass a piece of legislation, we withhold our vote or we vote against it. How is that good governance in Trinidad and Tobago? I don't agree with that. And this is something that people always say. When you look at the Independent, Dr. Paul is part of the Independent. When you see some of those legislation in Independent vote for them, a lot of people label them as either PNM or UNC. And we have to move away from this type of politics. Unless we move away from this type of politics, we'll get nowhere. We'll always be reverberating with a number of issues that we can pass. Look, this piece of legislation, what is interesting, I want to point out to you, the legislation that was passed in terms of polygraph, 36 members voted for that piece of legislation. What is the difference with the whistleblower legislation? It is good law. If you have a problem with the law, pass the legislation. There's always review in terms of a piece of legislation. You can come back and amend those pieces of legislation where you have loopholes. If you possibly see loopholes, you can amend it and you can tighten the legislation in terms of getting it to work for you. I disagree with in terms of when I look at the whole issue. To me, this is a non-issue. I agree with Dr. Ragoobarsingh. He said that his conscience and your conscience, although you are part of a party in this country, your conscience should be the deciding factor in terms of representing the people who have elected you, and should not be on the issue of party. So
that's not how we structured. That's not how our politics is structured. Our politics is not structured like that.
But what we have done, Richard, is that we have emboldened the leader of the party. We're supposed to be structured that way. If you look at the Westminster system, that is how we're structured. You would see right now, if you were to go and look at the Conservative, you will see some of the stories, they are not really following Rishi Sunak. But if you look at some of them who have moved away, but they, at the end of the day, they are still contributing in Parliament when there's votes to be taken, when there's things to be taken, before he announced the election, that is it. So when you look at it in terms of that system, we have allowed that to be railroaded, where we empower the political leader of the party. And that is quite egregious. That is wrong. I disagree with that sort of system. And we have allowed it to put in this perspective is that the 5 descendants, including Ragoobarsingh, I want to point out this to you. That will be the end of their political career because the political leader is going to spy that individual. That is something that we have to. I have looked at it and I cannot wrap my mind around it. Why we have allowed this to happen in this country, where the leader of a political party is so emboldened that they can declare that we can expel you, we can do this, we can do that. And that is something that we have to move away. As a young individual, I disagree with that. I don't think this should be an issue.
The leader cannot expel you. Parties will have constitutions that will indicate what the process is. But the process of following party lines, supporting party lines in Parliament is a convention that comes out of our constitution. And if it was to go awry and people were just voting their conscience on every piece of legislation, how manageable would be the process? And if that's the kind of process we want, then the Constitution has to definitively say so. And you, as a citizen, should contribute to the Constitutional Reform Committee suggesting that those changes be encoded in the Constitution.
Wait, Richard. Wait. I just want to find out something here. You are telling me that if I am a part of the opposition and I want to vote, I cannot vote.
No, I'm not talking about the opposition. You didn't hear what I just said? I'm talking about the process and convention of supporting party lines. Whoever is the leader of the opposition and whoever is the prime minister is dependent on the votes of the majority party in the person of the prime minister, who support who they want to be the leader. Similarly, in terms of the leader of the opposition, it's about votes. So if your voting cadre is in disarray and wanting to vote however they want to vote, it becomes practically unmanageable.
No. I hear you, but I disagree with that. I don't tend to agree with that at all. Because what you just said here is that legislation that can be good is just thrown out the window.
Well, the issue of whether legislation is good is something of a mature discussion that we have to have. So if the UNC had an objection to the whistleblower legislation, they needed to articulate confidently and strongly what their points were. They may have valid points.
Right.
And why the legislation is not good and why it should not be passed in its form.
And if you listen to Dr. Ragoobarsingh, he said there was no caucus on the whistleblower legislation.
Yeah, but we're talking different issues that we have in this conversation. We're shifting back and forth. I'm just giving the broad scope of it. And I'm saying if it is that you have objection to legislation as an opposition, you can have objection to legislation. And I'm saying the duty, in my opinion, of the UNC is to clearly articulate what are the grounds for my objection and why I'm not voting for this. What are the defects that I think are so material that the legislation should not be passed in this form?
I agree with all of that, what you have said, Richard. I agree with you. But I am saying it should not be at the end of the day. The party, you should not be voting based on party. You were elected by people, yes, from a party, but you represent a certain amount of people. And I'm sure there are a number of persons within the UNC right now who would agree with Dr. Raphael.
But I don't know. And I'm not disputing all of that, but I'm saying, how is that going to work? Because you're in a small space, and don't forget that you're in a small space. We are a dot. So our constituents, what are where you live? Have you done a poll of the constituents in your area? Do they even care about the legislation in Parliament?
That is
Do they even care?
I'm glad that you raised that because the area in which I live in has been a stronghold of the UNC.
Yeah, do they care about the whistleblower? I'm just saying, do they even know what the whistleblower legislation entails? Do they know what the content of it is? Do they care to have an opinion that they're expressing to their representative to say, this is how I want you to vote? That's not how we made up.
Yes. And that is the change that we need. And I always believe that the driving factor for this should be the media. I always believe the media should be able to extrapolate a piece of legislation, tell us the nitty-gritty of it in terms of letting the populace know that this can benefit us. It can benefit us. And if you look at that legislation, it is very important and it can assist us to reduce corruption. That is the most important thing that we're trying to do here. We're trying to reduce corruption. And the money that you see that can be reduced to corruption can go elsewhere to benefit the wider populace. And that is quite important. And that's something that I want to make salient. I do necessarily agree with in terms of where we empower the political leader of a party in this country. Okay, I'll listen. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
All right.
Yeah, but the legislation was passed after all is said and done. But the issue of how powerful, and let's look at the Prime Minister, the issue of the power of the Prime Minister is the subject of many papers of people brighter than me concerning what the constitutional ramifications are of emboldening and using your word, one person to have the kind of power that person who holds that position has within our constitutional context. Do we want it to continue like that? What are the checks and balances that we think are not robust enough? These are the kind of conversations that we have to have as citizens, and that we have to have an opinion for, and that we as activists, as citizens, contribute to the Constitutional Reform Committee. There's a Constitutional Reform Committee. So if you feel strongly about these issues and you feel strongly about how our governance is structured, it's your responsibility as a citizen to say, hey, I have an opinion and I'm submitting it to you.
All right, gentlemen, this is where we're going to wrap it up on this Tuesday morning.
Thank you for all your calls and comments. This is what makes the show so enjoyable.
Yeah, all my lines are lit up.
Different views, and people have the right to their views and their opinions once they present those in a respectful manner. Have a great day, everyone. Be safe.
Yep. We can't. I mean, we need the variety of opinions to move the country forward. And once it comes from a space of love for Trinidad and Tobago, let's hear, what your opinion is and how do we make the country better for all, for everybody. But anyway, our time is up. So have a fantastic day, whatever you do. I'm just reminding you that theater is coming up on Sunday, July 14th, 2024. It's the final show of Love is a Walk. It will be taking place at Napa. It's at 6:30 p.m. Tickets will go on sale shortly at Napa. I'll keep you posted. But Sunday, 14th of July, mark the date. It's the final show of Love is a Walk. If you have not seen it, I don't know why you have not seen it. It is hilarious, and we're on for one night only. Have a fantastic day. Remember to smile and laugh. It's great.